So here on my channel, we often talk about femininely dating and moving through dating stages and phases gracefully, progressively, intentionally, and sometimes slowly. And when you are truly sitting in your most peaceful, receiver energy, then moving slowly through phases of relationship and dating and commitment often takes time, especially when you are a woman. And us women, it takes us a lot more time to grow in familiarity and comfort with a man and growing our attraction to him in a physical sense. Something that is going to be healthy and start on a healthy foundation is generally going to take a little more time. Now, of course, there are exceptions here, and of course, you can find ways to collapse time, but here in a general sense, good things are going to take a little more time to grow and develop and nourish, right? Like it takes time for you to grow a garden, right? It takes constant watering, constant nurturing, constant attentiveness in order to help that garden grow and flourish. And so you can use the same analogy with having and building authentic, healthy relationships and developing attraction for a good relationship with a guy that you are moving with intention with. I'm going to be discussing some of the phases and stages in dating and commitment that you will organically go through and grow through as you get to know a guy and you're deciding whether he is a good potential match for you. And remember, my ladies and gentlemen, you want to start off on a foundation where you have already done some inner healing work, and that is going to help set you up to healthily attract your reciprocal match. Okay, so starting on a foundation where you are a healthy person and you have done some inner healing work and you have a healthy mentality, you have a healthy relationship to yourself and healthy attachment styles, then you can really get out there and conquer the dating world with so much success. So that's always what I first encourage before you even get out there and, start thinking that you need to have somebody or, finding your perfect match, quote unquote. You need to first do the inner healing work within yourself so that way you can get to that point. And when you start off on that foundation, you will end up attracting somebody that is your reciprocal match, operating in the same vibration as you, and you're going to set yourself up for success rather than having to deal with a lot of struggle love and sometimes unnecessary pain. And you don't want to go into something carrying a lot of baggage and carrying past pains from past relationships. That is never something that you want to go into relationship with. And so, here we often encourage you to do some inner healing work before you even get out there and try to meet someone for you, right? So once you start off on that and you're able to attract someone that is your that is your energetic match, then you're going to move to a phase of getting out there and dating. And in order to do that, you have to first, which is the first phase that I'm going to talk about, is familiarize yourself. So familiarizing yourself in settings, environments, communities, this is the only way to get comfortable and feel safe in your nervous system with people and meeting people and registering to your brain that who you could potentially end up with is familiar, comfortable, and safe to you. Okay, so for thousands and thousands of years, we have always dated within our community. Sometimes it would be family and friends who would set up and arrange daughters, nieces, nephews, sons to date, like mutual connections, right? Other family friends, friends within their communities. Today, it might look like even maybe your coworkers, right? Friends of friends of friends, dating within your community. But this, like the whole deep root meaning of this is to, help your brain feel that all of these connections that you have created within your tribe are safe to you and will help aid in your survival. I hope that's making sense. So when you date someone, like basically you need to have places that you continuously and routinely attend, so that way you can make your statement in these settings, right? And you also want to attend settings that are more social and have this open energy and open environment for people to mingle and kind of get to know each other and have more of that, social aspect. Okay, so hear me out, right? Let me give you an example of this. If you go to a restaurant, like let's say a 5-star, dining restaurant experience, you are likely not going to be in the environment where people are, up and moving around, mingling with other people, kind of getting like introducing themselves to people that they've never met before, people that are like coming, from different areas, whatever. Like, that kind of environment doesn't really call for the social and, getting to know new people and all this cool mingling that you would do if you were at a bar, like a local neighborhood bar, or, some kind of social event that is allowing you to kind of move around and mingle. Because when you go into, a restaurant, you're just going to see people who are with their spouses or with their dates, having these intimate date, dinner meals, or going with their family, and they're just kind of sitting at a table with each other, and they're not going to be up and moving around trying to, socialize and meet people that they have never met before. You know what I mean? That's not the environment that you will able to successfully, get to know new people, which is what you ultimately want to do if you are wanting to get out there and, put yourself out in the dating market. Actually, I have a great example of this because, I ended up dating a guy who he first saw me at an establishment that was, okay, it is like, the establishment is half restaurant and half bar. Like, it's literally like two separate entities. But when he first saw me, like, it was just this random happenstance. It was like, it was in the area of the restaurant setting where it's more so, people that are, already going out with their spouses and kind of sitting at a table by themselves, together, rather than the bar side, which is much more like, no tables, you're up walking around, getting to talk to a bunch of different people. So he saw me in that restaurant setting and obviously didn't feel very comfortable with just, coming up to this random pretty lady that he had no idea who she was and introducing himself, right? So like, men are going to pursue, right? And this is, I often talk about this concept too, is that men are willing to, like, real masculine men are willing to pursue women, but they're not going to do it in, inappropriate times, or times that are, where the energy of the room doesn't call for, up and, walking over to someone and just introducing themselves, right? Like, he didn't even know anything about me or who I was, or if I was showing up there with somebody, or if I was showing up to meet somebody, right? So it makes a lot of sense that he wouldn't just come up to me and randomly, like, introduce himself when I had no idea who he was. This so happened to be a very random happenstance, but of course, after the fact, after that situation, then he was able to, like, he was put in a position where then he was able to, like, introduce himself to me and meet me on a more personal level without, like, any barriers, I guess I should say. So that, like, I hope that I'm making sense to you. That was kind of all over the place, but that is the first phase of familiarizing yourself in certain environments to kind of help your brain register these people, these things, these communities, these settings as safe, and, continuously and consistently attending that setting to help yourself and other people get to know you a little bit more and understand that you are a safe person. And, you'll get to, as time goes on, you'll organically meet and talk with more of the same people in that same setting. So the next phase of dating and, the whole progression of relationship is the courtship, right? So after you familiarize yourself and you've maybe met somebody in this setting, or this area or this city, right, that you have mutual connections in, that then comes the courtship process, right? Where the guy is, like, he's interested in you and he lets you know that. He's taking you out on dates. You're sort of casually dating him, you show up on the dates that he plans for you, because that's what a masculine man is doing. And you're not moving in together, you're literally organically going through the courtship process where you're getting to know each other and, starting to have fun together. And you have, like, you're putting your best foot forward, and you are wearing this sort of mask, which we'll get into, okay? You're wearing this sort of mask. You're, letting him see the best sides of you, the best parts of you, the most playful, lighthearted, feminine side of you, because you have done your inner work and you are showing up as femininely as humanly possible. But you're not moving in together. You're not sleeping together for sure. You're going out on a couple dates, maybe once a week, if he's super interested in you and, there's a super, intense desire and energy there. He's pursuing you intentionally, and he's pursuing you with genuine interest. He's generous with gifting you things, resources, like feeding you. Like he's showing you all the best traits of himself and his generosity and his selflessness in this phase, and you're kind of getting a feel of how this man authentically is, right? And how you begin something is how you will continue it. So it's very important that you begin on the foundation of, and the energy dynamic of, you are the feminine, you are the receiver, you are the one to be provided for, and he is the masculine. He is the one to plan the things, move in towards you, pursue you, but you are just kind of casually dating. And maybe you're even casually dating him and other guys, right? Like you are not exclusive with this guy. This guy has not proposed to you and put a ring on your finger. You are dating him, and also you are maybe going out with other guys as well that also want to show you the same things and also show you a good time, because you are a catch, right? I'm teaching you here on this channel how to be that magnetic, alluring, feminine woman that is such a great catch, and all the guys, they swoon over her, right? So again, you're not moving in together. You're not sleeping together. None of that. None of this exclusive hubby wife stuff that you're doing in this courtship casual dating phase. And unfortunately, I know a lot of you, and even people in my own family, who have made this mistake so many times in the dating world, where they don't even go through the courtship dating phase. They literally meet someone on a dating app, they go sleep with them right away, and then what do you know? They're literally moving in together. I cannot make this up. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy to me that people are actually doing this, but they are sleeping together and moving in together right away when they hardly know each other, and they've had no time to put their best foot forward and show who they are and what they desire, and like what their goals are and what their genuine values in life and in themselves really truly are. And this is just, again, crazy to me. It's so bizarre, but this is really what is happening, and this is what we need to get out of, because then that is when you tread a very treacherous line. That is the unhealthy attachment styles. That is where you're codependent rather than being interdependent. And things that start off really fast like that usually end just as fast, because let me tell you, I have witnessed these things throughout so much of my life with people who are very close to me, where they jump into something and then just as quickly as they jumped into it, it's gone. It's done. It's over with just as fast as it started, because they did not move through these phases with a slow progression, and with an authentic progression, and with a healthy progression, but they moved into it because of really unhealthy attachment behaviors and codependency, again, rather than where you want to be, which is interdependency. By the way, when you are a healthy woman who has done some inner healing work, moving through these phases is going to feel very comforting and peaceful. You are not going to have this anxiety and very anxious attachment and anxious feeling like in the midst of trying to get to know a guy and like trying to progress these things along. It's not going to feel forced. It's going to feel very comforting and peaceful and without fear, right? So that means you're not going to have be attracting these guys who are emotionally unavailable to you. They're hot and cold, inconsistent, or that they're gonna they're cheaters and going to be disloyal to you. I had answered a question on a video like a couple days ago about, somebody was asking about how to prevent a guy from cheating on you. And remember that when you are starting as a healthy person, and you're attracting, if you're healthy, you're not going to be these things are not going to manifest in your reality, and basically in your world you won't even know that cheating guys or guys who are emotionally unavailable even exist to you. That's not even a part of your world, because that is not what your mind perceives to be true and to be reality, right? So I can't even attract emotionally unavailable men anymore. I used to in the past, and trust me, I know how anxiety inducing that really truly is, and that's why I like to talk about that a lot, because I know how that feels, when you have somebody that is so emotionally unavailable, and how to kind of overcome it and move through it. But you won't, I don't attract guys who don't know what they want and who they are, and who are not grounded in their masculinity, and who don't believe in being the man, and who like protects and provides. Like, I don't even attract that, because that is not a part of my belief system. That is not what I perceive to be even real. That's so far, that's like worlds and worlds and worlds apart. So yeah, I like, that doesn't even exist to you if you are a healthy person. So remember, again, you're not even going to be attracting these emotionally unavailable guys, or hot and cold, distant, or guys who you are afraid will cheat on you, because that's just simply not what you're an energetic match for. Next phase that you are going to move into, let's say, you know, there's one guy that you really vibe with, you have a great connection with him, he seems to be the most familiar to you, you share a lot of the similar values, similar interests, similar mentalities, mindsets, values, maybe goals, all of these things that, you know, you're learning and unfolding as you date more and get to know each other. You're growing closer and more bonded, so you are growing emotionally more bonded together in this third phase that we're talking about here. You're learning each other's tics and flaws. You're opening up more on a more vulnerable level. Maybe you're talking a little bit more about things that happened to you, or things that you've been through in the past, maybe even like some of your childhood issues, and like, you know, who your parents are to you, and maybe like how much you've grown through, you know, your relationships to them, and like how much you've forgiven people, like all of these deeper emotional things that you wouldn't go tell, let's say, your boss or your coworker. You know, these more intimate personal details about who you are, this is where you're kind of learning each other in that regard. You're again learning each other, like what makes each other tick, your flaws. You're able to be more authentic around one another, and be like even more silly and playful, and you know, you really get to take off these sort of masks that we sort of inevitably put on, and of course authentically put on, when we are just beginning to know somebody, because we're wanting to, you know, be as we're wanting to be as elegant and classy as possible. And so you know, when you're first getting to know somebody, you do kind of have to wear this mask, because like that's just organic, right? When you don't know someone, you have this sort of very authentic guard up for yourself, because the people who get the more intimate parts of you are only the people that have earned that right, and that have put in the energy to know more about those intimate details of who you are, and like feel more of your actual feelings, like get to understand more of who you are at your core. This sort of need for the perfect impression starts to fall off in this phase as you grow more emotionally bonded together. And maybe you're also sharing a lot more, you know, affection, and like more just innocent physical intimacy together. You're just more affectionate with each other, and you don't feel like you have to always, you know, put on this perfect armor when you're around your person, because they just know that you are a human being, and you know, you have emotions, and sometimes you get angry, and sometimes you get upset, and sometimes you're really, really overjoyed and happy, and you're just a highly emotional person with intelligence, and you can show that more. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you don't have to always worry about making the perfect impression when you get to this phase with your person, because you know that you can be yourself around them. All right, so this next phase this is going to be juicy. This is going to be good. This is going to be full of information. And this next phase, the last one that we're going to talk about, is the commitment, right? The exclusivity, the engagement, the marriage, whatever commitment, level of commitment that you are looking for and are comfortable with, this is going to be that phase. I hesitate to say, you know, whether it's like engagement, or like, you know, marriage, or, you know, like this exclusive partnership, right? Like, I hesitate to say any of that, just because like you all each individually have, you know, the things that you're comfortable with, and timelines, like your own timelines for moving through these things. And so this is where you kind of like have all of these feelings of assuredness and certainty, but also simultaneously have feelings of uncertainty and maybe a little fear and doubt. And this is all very normal, and it is nothing to, you know, take personally or put a lot of pressure on a guy if you're desiring for him to move forward and, you know, set things in stone if you desire to get married, and, you know, for him to put a ring on it. It's nothing to take personally, because these things, you know, the fears and the doubts that inevitably pop up in your mind when you're deciding to make a big change and make a big commitment is very, very normal. and what often most people experience. I mean, think of it like this. If you come and visit my house, you will look at my house as a guest and you'll be like, oh my God, this house is so beautiful. Like, I love the way that you have it decorated, and this is so nice, and I love the colors here, blah, 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 blah. You will think that my house is so great and, homey and comforting. But if you were to be in a different mentality of looking to purchase a house, and you come into my house and it's up for sale, and you would approach it with such a different mindset of, okay, I like the way that this house looks, and this is a great detail about this house, and I like the way that this operates in this home, and like where this thing is planted, but like, how's the plumbing in here, right? Is there any mold growing in the walls? How's the AC unit? How old is the AC unit? Like, all of these more deeper inside issues would come to mind if you are looking to make that investment and purchase a home. You know what I mean? So the analogy is fitting, because on the outside something looks great and seems wonderful, but if you're looking to invest into something and put your hard-earned work and money into something, you would be approaching it with a lot of different questions, fears, concerns, doubts even. And sometimes things have to settle in our minds for a little while in order for it to register as safe. You know what I mean? So sometimes the ideas and thoughts and things that we want to manifest, these things, I mean, this is actually what manifestation is literally based upon. Ideas that come to our mind have to really ruminate in our mind and settle and simmer in order for us to then begin to feel safe and register in our nervous systems as safe before we can accept the thing. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. But sometimes, ideas of like marriage, like, and this is typically what's happening in dating, all the while that you're dating someone. But the idea of marriage, like, kind of has to ruminate in your mind for a while, and you have to get really comfortable with it in your mind in order for you to begin to accept it. And sometimes those things take a little bit of time. And this is another thing, like, I always hesitate to say, like, what's the appropriate time and what's the right timeline for me to, date somebody and then like get engaged to them and then get married to them. That is a whole ball game of a topic. It really truly is. There's a lot of nuances there. And I think everybody's story is generally different. Everybody has their own timelines and things that are going on in their life, and maybe things that they would like to achieve before they, can move in to something more, set in stone, such as marriage with somebody. But that's why I always hesitate to say, just because like these things are so nuanced. And with like, given that, my advice in that situation is that you just have to really be tuned in to your own intuition and wisdom. You have to move through the progression and the timelines through your own inner wisdom. And that's really the best way to go about it, because, what my timeline is for, getting to know somebody and moving in for marriage because of maybe goals that I have with them may be completely different for the goals that you have for your own personal life and your own personal timeline. And that makes a whole lot of sense, right? There's no right or wrong timeline of like how you move in, to these phases with that special someone. I mean, my parents and my grandparents and my sister, like, they all got married and engaged and all that yummy stuff, within 6 months, 6 months to a year. Like, they were already married and all that in a very short period of time. And, then I have another sister who practices a whole different religion. And so in her life and, what they do in her culture is, they sort of, in a way, arrange a marriage, and they don't go through all this stuff. Like, basically, they marry very, very quickly on, and then they date and court while they're in marriage. And I think that is also very appropriate, and that's awesome, right? If that works, and if that is like guided spiritually and in a healthy way, then I think that is totally okay. And that's why I don't, talk about timelines and all that. I believe, you can get married within 2 months. I believe you can get married within 6 months. I believe you can get married within 2 years. It's really just about doing things the correct way and the healthy way, and ultimately God's way. So, you know, if you like, again, with the goals, like if you plan to have this huge wedding, like I don't care about that, right? Personally. But if you are somebody who you want to have this huge wedding and, you know, it takes a lot of time and planning to get to that because you want to have this big extravaganza, then that's fine. And that might take you a little longer. So you might be in the engagement period for, you know, a year, 2 years, whatever, just because you're planning a huge wedding, right? If you're someone who is a little bit older, maybe you're like 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, and you want to have more kids, and so you just found your partner, then you need to get on the ball, right? Like you need to get to the altar so that you can start popping out babies because you are on a timeline with that. Obviously, we all have our, you know, different things and different goals in our life. And so that's why you really have to be, you know, guided with your own wisdom to navigate through that. So to sum it all up here is the first phase of, you know, getting to date and relate is familiarizing yourself, dating within your community, dating someone that it has a mutual connection, mutual friends, family members, whatever, familiarizing yourself in environments so that way men can pursue you and get to know you and you feel comfortable and safe and familiar, okay? The next phase is the courtship. When you finally meet that guy and he's pursuing you, you're dating casually, you know, you're going out, he's pursuing you, he's providing you with resources, he's showing you what a gentleman that he is a good provider and he could protect you. Next phase is that you are growing closer emotionally. You sort of get to drop this mask that you are wearing. You know, you feel more authentic around one another. You can share more of your vulnerable, deeper feelings about your own personal life and things in your past, but also about each other. And maybe you're sharing more physical affection and physical intimacy together. And then, of course, the last phase that we just talked about, which is committing, engagement, or marriage, whatever that looks like for you and whatever timeline that you feel called to walk in and walk through. And with that comes maybe a little fear and doubt and concerns, and you may have to ruminate with the ideas of this very strong, heavy investment for a little while in order to help your nervous system register these things and these people as safe. Got it? So I hope that this was helpful and insightful to you. If you have any recommendation or suggestions for future videos, or you have a specific question that you want to hear more about in the world of men, women, dating and relationships, femininity, masculinity, hormonal balance, health, all of this stuff that, you know, especially even communication. If you need a certain question answered in that, leave a comment down below or send me an email. You'll get much quicker access to me if you email me, which will be all listed down in the description box below. Make sure you follow me on all my other platforms and check out my fashion channel because you see all around me here, this is my aesthetic. I do fashion and modeling stuff as well, so that's a whole separate channel. Make sure you follow me on there if you're interested in that part of my life as well. So until the next video, I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you.